Good day to you all. I am Dr. Muhammad Zubairu. Uh, we are going to discuss parts of uh, philosophy and logic, GSP 2205, Module 7. And to be precise, we are going to discuss the relationship between logic, science, uh, its application in social science and humanities. The primary aim of this module is to give a flashback on what we already know about logic in the previous other modules, and then briefly discuss about logic in relation to science, and then we relate uh, logic with social science and humanities, and we precise on how logic is being applied to social sciences and humanities. So let us now quickly look at what is logic. Uh, we can now recall that uh, logic is actually the study of reasoning and the principles that govern valid inference and argumentation. It is actually a formal system of analysis that helps in distinguishing correct reasoning from incorrect reasoning. So logic provides an entire framework for evaluating the coherence and validity of arguments, making it a fundamental tool in philosophy, mathematics, computer science, and numerous other areas of disciplines. It is actually concerned with reasoning and valid inference and other topics that go out of it. So that is in a nutshell. Uh, Now let us look at what is sciences. Sciences actually is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe. Uh, of course, it is methodological and logical approach to understanding the natural world and phenomena that occur within it. We can look at this popular saying from Ivan et al. 2012 that to learn the truth about the world must be studied scientifically. So the relationship between logic and science is actually fundamental, as it serves as a crucial tool in the process of scientific inquiry. In context of science, logic helps to ensure that the conclusions drawn from observations and experiments are sound and reliable. In the scientific method, which is a systematic approach to investigation used in the sciences, logical reasoning plays a key role in formulating hypotheses, designing experiments, and interpreting results. Scientists used deductive and inductive reasoning to make sense of data, draw conclusion, and finally refine their understanding or understanding of the natural phenomena. So really, the aim of science is to discover general truth, and this truth can sometimes be referred to strictly in the form of causal connections, with which facts we encounter can be explained. So, what is this explanation? What is this explanation? Of course, an explanation is a statement or set of statements that clarifies or makes understandable the cause, origin, nature, or mechanism of a particular phenomenon, event, or process. Every explanation gives an account, a set of statements from which the thing to be explained can be logically inferred. Such an account will comprise a coherent set of general proof or theory. To explain some serious disease, for example, we need a coherent account of what causes that disease and how it can be treated. Is the presence or absence of some particular substance the key to the disorder? The theory explaining diabetes, for example, is a coherent account of the use of sugar by the human body and the central role in the use of a protein hormone called insulin, produced by certain special cells within the body. Uh, According to this theory, it is the deficiency of insulin, or sometimes the inability of the body to use the insulin it produces, that explains the resulting disorder in the absorption of sugars from blood. An account of this kind gives a scientific explanation of this serious disease. Patients suffer from diabetes. Why? Because of their insulin deficiency. So we can say in logic, we say Q because P. That may express either an explanation or an argument. It expresses an argument when we are inferring the conclusion Q from the premises P. It expresses an explanation when facing the fact of Q, when facing the fact of Q. Our reasoning moves back from the fact to discover the circumstances that led to it. So always a good explanation must offer truth that are relevant. Relevant, very important, to the facts explained. So now, let us now look at uh, what is the relationship between logic and sciences. Uh, the relationship between logic and science is fundamental, as logic serves as the most crucial tool in the process of scientific inquiry. Logic is the study of reason and principles that govern valid inference and demonstration. In the context of science, logic helps to ensure that conclusions drawn from observations and experiments are sound and reliable. In the scientific method, which is the systematic approach to investigation used in the sciences, logical reasoning plays a key role, formulating hypotheses, designing experiments, and interpreting results. So scientists use deductive and inductive reasoning to make sense of data, draw conclusions, and refine their understanding of the natural phenomena. Logic provides a language, or perhaps a better syntax, for modeling scientific discourse. So, in a nutshell, what is that ensures that objects that exist only in the mental world map onto objects that exist only on the external world? What bridges gap between these two worlds? Of course, it's a scientific realism. In as much as for him, for the goal of scientists is ultimately a type of necessarily certainty about the way the world is. Because if one cannot be certain that the objects of logic and the conclusion derived from logic actually capture the way the world really is, the logic, for all the precision in reasoning it might bring, will fail to be adequate, or it will fail to be an adequate tool for doing sciences. If logic is to play a role in scientific in scientific enterprise, then there must be some bridges or common element linking the universal predicament treated in logic with the concrete particulars that made up of the world that scientists attempt to explain. Now, application of logic in social sciences. Uh, Logic has numerous applications in social sciences because it's very vital for constructing valid arguments, analyzing data, and drawing reliable conclusions. So it plays a central role in various aspects of social scientific research, helping researchers to formulate hypotheses, design studies, and interpret findings. Here we have highlight uh, some key applications of logic in social sciences, like the hypothesis formulation. Scientists or social scientists use logic to formulate hypotheses that are clear, testable, and logically sound. Logical reasoning ensures that the proposed relationship between variables are plausible and coherent. We can also talk about research design. Of course, when designing research studies, social scientists apply logic to develop methodologies that are valid and reliable. This includes selecting appropriate sampling techniques, designing surveys for experiments, and minimizing biases. We can also talk about data analysis, because logic is crucial in data analysis collected during social research. Whether using statistical method or qualitative analysis, researchers apply logical reasoning to draw valid inferences from the data and to assess the significance of their findings. We can also talk about causal inference. Establishing causal relationships is a common goal in social sciences. Logic is employed to identify potential confounding variables, assess the strength of evidence for caution, and distinguish correlation from caution. So there's also critical evaluation. Social scientists use logic to critically evaluate existing theories, research studies, and arguments within their field. This involves assessing the collection or coherence and internal consistency of theories and scrutinizing the logical form uh, foundations of research methodologies. We can also talk about argumentation and persuasion. Researchers in the social science often need to present and defend their findings. So, logical reasoning is essential in constructing persuasive arguments, whether in academic writing, policy reports, or public discourse. We can also talk about another application, interpretation of social phenomena. Yeah, logic aids in the interpretation of complete social phenomena because scientists use logical frameworks to understand patterns, trends, and relationships within societies, cultures, and community. We can also talk about theory development and ethical analysis. The development of social theories relies heavily on logical reasoning. Social scientists are social scientists use logic to build theoretical frameworks that explain observed social phenomena and predict patterns of behavior. And when you talk about ethical analysis, social science research often involves ethical considerations. Logic is applied to assess the ethical implications of research designs, participants' interactions, and potential impact of findings on individuals and communities and the world at large. There are other issues like cross-disciplinary integration and the rest of them. So now let's look at application of logic in humanities. The relationship between logic and humanities uh, is complex and multifaceted. While logic is traditionally associated with formal reasoning and deduction, the humanities encompasses a broad range of disciplines, including literature, philosophy, history, art, language, and culture, law, etc. So it is now clear that the two are connected. There is no doubt an intimate relationship between logic and law. Of course, because logic was one of the central disciplines with every student in the incoming class required to study. Humanities studied of human cultures, which include history, a lot of them. There is no doubt that the intimate relationship between logic and humanities is certain. This fact is apparent from expression we frequently hear, for example, after the trial of a well-contested case where the best legal talent has been employed on both sides. We often hear expression as this: the lawyer or the defense gave a very logical argument to the jury. The plaintiff's attorney introduced his evidence in a logical manner. This influence of logic upon laws arises from one fundamental fact: the laws are not self-applicable. And a rule of law isolated from a world of facts is no more than speculative ghosts. So law, accurately speaking, is organized principle, and from a political point of view, is the chart by which human action in terms of facts is regulated, or you can say manifested. So here are several aspects of relationship between logic and humanities. One can look at, we have the critical thinking. Of course, logic is a fundamental component of critical thinking. And critical thinking is crucial in humanities. Scholars in humanities use logical reasoning to analyze texts, arguments, and cultural phenomena. They critically evaluate different perspectives and assess the validity of claims. So you can also talk about argumentation. Humanity disciplines often involves constructing and deconstructing arguments. Logic plays a role in building coherent and persuasive argument, whether in the form of library analysis, philosophical discourse, or historical interpretation. We can also talk about the interpretation. So, uh, 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 of course, philosophy, which is a central component of the humanities, heavily relies on logic. Philosophers use logical reasoning to formulate and assess theories, identify fallacies, and engage in rigorous analysis of concepts and arguments. And then interpretation. The logic aids in the interpretation of text, artworks, historical events, and cultural phenomena. Humanities scholars apply logic to drive meaning under underlying themes and make connection between different elements within their field of study. Ambiguity and subjectivity. Unlike the natural sciences, where logic often deals with more objective and quantifiable data, the humanities frequently involve ambiguity and subjectivity. Logical reasoning is applied in investigating and making sense of these complexities, even when dealing with less formalized and more quantitative information. You can talk about a language and semiotics. The study of language, a prominent aspect of the humanities, involves semiotics and the analysis of signs and symbols. So logic is employed to understand the structure of language, the relationship between words, and the way in which meaning is conveyed. One can also talk about ethics and values. Logical reasoning is applied in ethical discussion within the humanities, where scholars explore and evaluate different moral properties. Philosophical ethics, for example, relies on logical analysis to assess the consistency and coherency of ethical theories. One can also talk about historical analysis. Historians use logical reasoning to analyze historical events, understand causation, and interpret the actions and motivations of individuals and societies. So logical structures are often applied to construct narratives that are both coherent and faithful to the historical evidence. So in a nutshell, while logic is fundamental in the humanities, its application is diverse and adapted to the particular methodologies and maintenance of each discipline. I think we are going to stop here for the class. Uh, I will always be with you during the lectures and on the platform, and you can send questions and some, and I will actually attend to your questions during the lectures and even after. You can even chat up, even you can even send questions even out of the lecture period. When I'm available online, I can always reply you. And you can also go through there. I have created a chat room where we can be discussing there. You can raise questions there. Thank you for listening and thank you all. Goodbye.